Hey everybody, how y'all doing? Uh, what I want to talk about was I've seen a few testimonials online about people having near-death experiences and dreams where Jesus would take them and show them things of the future and show them what was getting ready to happen in these end times that we are in right now. And there were two videos that really caught my attention, and one of them was about a nun, and she was raptured. But when she was raptured, she got in line, and when she got up to Jesus, he looked at her and said, "I will keep my word," or something like that. And then he sent her back to hell, or something like that. She goes something like that. And she didn't understand why. And I'm telling the story very, very wrong. I'm telling it out of order and everything. But she asked him, and this was her near death experience or dream or something like that. And he told her it was because she did not rebuke people who she saw doing bad things, or she tolerated something, or she sinned with somebody else. So, and something else is that she said she looked around and she saw people's garments. They had white garments, but some people had white garments stained with dirt and blood. And I think what that means is that when we sinned with each other, like uh, like fornication and adultery and anything like that, and we tempt each other to sin, or we tolerate each other's sin, or enable each other's sin, that's what causes us to be lukewarm. So I'm going to read Revelations, or I'm going to summarize Revelation 3 through 14, and or not summarize. I'm just going to go over it with you, and it discusses the lukewarm church. And verse 16 of Revelations chapter 3, it says that God will spit us out of his mouth. And I always knew that, and I was always afraid of that. But now I understand it. Now I really understand it. Is that when we cause each other to sin, when we tempt each other to sin, when we tolerate each other's sin, when we enable each other's sin, we're robbing God of souls, unknowing or unintentionally, unknowingly, and we're also robbing other people of their salvation when we do that. And I've had this argument with my granny before, but now I really, really understand it even more so. So I was right then, but now I really understand it even more. And it talks about the white garment in verse 18. And then in verse 17, Jesus accuses the lukewarm church of being wretched without knowing it. Now, of course, that was that specific church back then, but I can assure you, to many of us Christians today, it definitely applies to us. Now, there was the second video from that same channel, and I'll figure out how to get the link, or maybe post that, edit that into the video of that channel for those two videos. But in that in that second video, it talked about social media, and specifically those of us in the younger generation. We are really, really dragging each other down. All the stuff that we do on the internet, exchanging nudes and OnlyFans and all the Reddit porn and the iFunny stuff, the Tumblr stuff, Telegram, Instagram, women when you not provoke, but when you post provocative pictures and then you cause or you tempt men who like your photos to sin, and then they reinforce you to do it again. They give you that attention to do it again. So that's being held against us, and it's causing a lot of us to drag each other down. And it's really hurting those of us Christians who do it, because okay, we get baptized and we confess that Jesus is our Savior, but then we're still lukewarm because we're still doing that, behind closed doors, right? So that gets us in trouble. That's what causes us to be lukewarm. And again, you see here in Revelation 7, chapter 7, verse 13, it talks about the great multitude of Gentile, or the great multitude who were obviously Gentiles, that had been raptured and allowed into heaven. And it says that these are those who survived the great tribulation, and they washed their robes. So clearly, there's something about that. It says they washed their robes with the blood of the Lamb. So clearly, there are some of us who were lukewarm, and we have found a way to wash our robes. So what I've tried to do is I've tried to apologize to a lot of people who I've ever enabled or tolerated or tempted them to sin. And there are so many that it's actually very hard when you do, and it's the minors, the things that we think are minor are actually major. We don't even realize it. So what I also did for those who I couldn't reach is that I prayed to God and I asked Him to forgive, or I just said I was sorry for robbing Him of souls and causing other people to sin. And I asked Him from my prayer in your name, Jesus, to use other people to bring them closer to you so that doesn't happen. And even more so, even for the people who are not within my circle of who I have affected and who have affected me. I forgive all the people who affected me. I forgive them. I don't want anybody to go down because of me. I don't want anybody to go to hell because of me. So I forgive all those people, all of them, even the ones I don't like. Uh, so I did that, and I also prayed for all the other groups, all the other what I like to call them the chains of lukewarm blood is what I call it. And that might scare some of y'all. Oh well, get over it. That's what I call it. The chains of lukewarm blood. I asked for those other chain links to also become aware and understand what they're doing, and I asked that God use other people, send other people in to help them out and to pick them up out of that, to help them wash their robes, as He would put it. But so that's it for this video.